What's happening? What's happening? What's happening?
And we're back!
That's right, back again. JC's Pop Culture Podcast, episode 4. Back at you again, coming at you once a week, where we're talking about the movie news that's occurred, shit that I'm interested in that I want to talk about that's happened since the last episode, and then, of course, wrap it up at the tail end, just talking about some shit I've watched, some shit I've done recently since the last episode. So, last week's was a little bit lengthier than the first one, or first two? What is this, 4? Fuck, I already forgot. Yeah, this is 4. So, the third one, pretty, right near an hour. That's kind of the max. I want to have these at as an hour if possible. I'd like to keep them under. So, just going through, talk some movie news. And if I ramble on a shit ton right here, that's going to add a lot to the link. So, let's not do that. Let's dive in here on some news stories. Starting with this one, I literally just saw this right before I got ready to start, so I wanted to pull this up. It's on IGN's Facebook. I think I saw Variety have an article out about it, the interview itself. Something Sylvester Stallone said on The Tonight Show, apparently. But Sylvester Stallone, Sly himself, fucking saying Ryan Gosling should be the next Rambo. And the quote up there from the IGN post, if you're watching on the YouTube side, you can see this here on the screen. If you're listening on the audio side, though, appreciate that shit as well. Update on that momentarily. But the quote, Ryan Gosling just kept saying that he had a lot of affiliation with Rambo. And I thought, this is interesting. If I ever pass the baton, I'll pass it on to him because he loves the character. Or it's actually probably more something like, he just kept saying that he had a lot of affiliation with Rambo. And I thought, this is interesting. If I ever pass the baton, okay, that's a terrible Stallone. I'm not good at impressions, but I thought it'd be funny. Anyway, I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't be mad at it. I've wanted to see Ryan Gosling in, a major action property for a while, ever since fucking Drive, which is so underrated. That's such a fucking good movie. But I think that seeing him as Rambo, I could dig it because I really wanted him to be Batman. I still think he would be, quintessential. Maybe he's getting a little bit older now. You'd have to do maybe a little something different, but I don't know. He can pass. I mean, fuck, he just played, Ken, so he could do it, and he could definitely do Rambo. I wouldn't be mad at it, but we'll see what happens. I'm sure Sly still got at least another 1 or 2 in him, but who knows if it'd be a potential of Ryan Gosling taking it on if anything comes of this. But I thought it was interesting enough, so I wanted to pull that up. That is kind of recent news, and then also this just came out today, actually, and I put out on Twitter or X, I guess the shit's called now. Follow us there if you don't already. Me. I don't know. Used to my other channel where I co-run it with some other guys on some WV football, but JC's Pop Culture, just that simple, on Facebook and Twitter if you want to check me out on social media. But this came out. Stephen Amell leading NBC Suits spinoff Suits LA. This is from Variety here that I'm sharing it from, and interesting because Suits got put on Netflix. I guess it was 6 months ago, a while back or whatever, and it just really fucking blew up from there. And everyone fell in love with that show again. I guess people rediscovered it that loved it before, and other people discovered it for the first time. I think my wife was in the latter of those camps. She really loved the show. So when I saw this, I thought, oh shit, this will be right up our alley. Maybe something we'll watch together because she loved Suits. I loved Arrow. Stephen Amell did great in that show, and so glad to see him get the lead here. But apparently my wife shot me down on that because she loves Suits because of the other characters, so she's not necessarily going to tune into a spinoff. I don't know, maybe I'll be able to fucking bring her around to it because who knows, it could probably be good. But it's going to be called Suits LA. Maybe some other people will feel the same way because I think a lot of people were hoping for kind of a revamp of that show, or like a lot of other shows are doing, maybe doing a movie with some of the same characters returning, that type of thing. But instead, they're going the spin-off route, doing a different Suits show, Suits LA, Stephen Amell leading. I think it could be good just because, it is Stephen Amell from Arrow. So, we'll see what happens. Spin-off landed a pilot order at NBC with production set to start in March in Vancouver. The new drama created by original creator Aaron Korsh. So they're bringing back the original creator at least. I mean, that's fucking good. Will follow a new group led by Ted Black, a former New York prosecutor who will build an LA law firm that specializes in criminal and entertainment law. So Ted Black will be Stephen Amell's character name. So that's what we got so far. Suits LA, that news came out today. And then moving on, Twisters news. Highly anticipated sequel indeed, and I'm one of the most people that's highly anticipating it. As you guys saw already, hopefully put the trailer reaction up on the channel. Got one up for Twisters and Deadpool right now. Might try and do some more here in the near future if we can get around to it. Trying to do those at least, weekly or bi-weekly if I can. Or what's it called when you do it every other week? Is that bi-weekly? Semi? I don't know what the fuck it's called. Whatever that is, that's what I'm trying to do, at least on trailer reactions. But at least this podcast so far, I've been successful in making this weekly. Hopefully I'll be able to continue that for you guys and be able to keep up with the movie news if so. But Twisters is something I'm really excited about. Did a trailer reaction for it on the channel. And since then, they've also dropped, some plot details here on this shit as well. Let's see. Where is the fucking synopsis? I know it's on here. Hold on, bear with me, guys. Sorry, guys. You can flog me in the street for fucking it up, as I usually do. Shit. Here it is. Daisy Edgar Jones stars as Kate Cooper, a former stormer chaser. What the fuck? Did I fuck that up or is it? Oh, okay, yeah, I fucked that up completely. Let's rewind that. Edgar Jones stars as Kate Cooper, a former storm chaser, haunted by a devastating encounter with a tornado during her college years, who now studies storm patterns on screen safely in New York City. She is lured back to the open plains by her friend Javi, played by Anthony Ramos, to test a groundbreaking new tracking system. There, she crosses paths with Tyler Owens, Glenn Powell's character there from the trailer, the charming and reckless social media superstar who thrives on posting his storm chasing adventures with his raucous crew. The more dangerous, the better. So, does that sound more like he's kind of the Carrie Ells type character than the Bill Paxton character? I don't know. Storm season intensifies, terrifying phenomena never before seen are unleashed, and Kate, Tyler, and their competing teams find themselves squarely in the paths of multiple storm systems converging over central Oklahoma in the fight of their lives. So that's the synopsis that we've got, alongside the trailer. Had to talk about that here because I'm excited for this shit. Twisters features an exciting new cast, including Nope's Brandon Pereira, Sasha Lane, Daryl McCormick, Kiernan Shipka, Sabrina Teenage Witch. I know her more from Mad Men. Nick DeDondi and Golden Globe winner Maura Tierney. Also, we know David Cornsweet appears in the movie. Of interest here on the channel as we're covering DCU updates and, of course, Superman Legacy updates in the lead up to that movie where he'll be our Clark Kent / Kal-El / Superman. And Twisters, man, coming soon. And getting excited for that shit. Hey, but speaking of Superman Legacy, that's a perfect fucking segue to pull up this article because it's about Isabella Merced, who will be in Superman Legacy playing Hawkgirl, and she's popping up all over the place right now. She was in, or she's going to be in Madam Web, which is probably out by the time you're hearing this podcast. And she's, like I said, going to be Hawkgirl, and she's in Alien Romulus. I fucking completely forgot about that. Fede Alvarez, Alien Romulus, one of my most anticipated films of 2024, and Bloody Disgusting here shares this article where she teases a disgusting scene from Fede Alvarez's Alien Romulus, which we've shared, multiple updates here for on the podcast in the past, and we'll continue to do so for that movie as well. We don't know much of anything about Disney's first Alien movie at the time, with Fede Alvarez in the director's chair for the upcoming Alien Romulus, which we now know the fucking title for. I think I dropped that on the last episode. Currently set to launch into theaters on August 16th, but aside from the title, main cast, we have no idea what to expect from the film, so we're hungry for fucking info is basically what they're telling us here. And on that note, star Isabella Merced. She's also in The Last of Us Season 2. She is all over the place right now. This girl can act. Teases in a new chat with The Hollywood Reporter that at least one scene is going to gross us out. And she says here, when we were doing reshoots, Fede Alvarez gave me the iPad where he watches playback, and he had the movie pulled up. So I told him I wanted to see parts of it, and he showed it to me. I was the one holding the iPad, and there were 10 people around me watching on the iPad. So there's a scene that I'm in, and they all had to turn away. Not one person stayed looking at that iPad because it was so disgusting. I was so excited. So fuck yeah, man. I don't know what scene that is, but hopefully it's legit and it's not hyperbole. And when we watch the movie, we'll be able to tell, I bet that's that scene that Isabella Merced or Marquette, however you say her last name. I apologize if I'm butchering the shit out of it, was talking about. And then also, something that we do know about Alien Romulus. I think I've talked about this in the past, but just to update this shit again. According to star Kaylee Spaney in a recent chat with Variety, this year's Alien Romulus takes place in between Alien and Alien, so in between the first two films. Pretty fucking cool. I think we talked about that in the last episode, but still wanted to share that. So pretty fucking cool. Seems like it's going to have some gore plenty and some nasty shit going on, according to members of the cast. And shout out to Bloody Disgusting for that article. And Isabella Merced, as I said, in Madam Web as well. And Madam Web, probably out by the time you're hearing this podcast. Don't know when I'll get a chance to see it. If and when I do, I'll probably do a review on the channel. I still want to see Lisa Frankenstein as well. I got some shit I want to see. I haven't been able to see any 2024 films yet, really. That's why there's not really any 2024 reviews on the channel. Been trying to fill the spots with trailer reactions and shit in the meantime, in between time. But that's also why I wanted to keep this podcast going. So at least weekly, we're going to have this out. Keep the content coming on the channel, keep you updated on movie news, shit that I've been watching, etc. And sometimes reviews will come at the tail end of this podcast. But having said that, Madam Web, first reactions are out after the premiere. Haven't looked at this article yet, just pulled it up here to share with you guys, so I'm going to react to the reactions. That's fucking right. Yep, you see Dakota Johnson, Isabella Merced, and Sydney Sweeney there, Maddie Franklin as well. Isabella Merced, like I said, popping up and everything. That's going to be your Hulk girl there on the far left. But let's see here. Madam Web is finally revealed to the public Monday night, so that was on, the 12th. After the Sony Marvel film held its premiere in Los Angeles, and the first reactions have already hit social media. Let's see what we got here. Oh, first one, brutal. Matt Ramos, Morbius was better. Yikes. Chris Parker, 3C Films. I'm sure a lot of you guys know him. Madam Web is an embarrassing mess. Talented stars wasted on probably the worst comic book movie I've ever seen. Fuck. Filled with atrocious dialogue, awkward editing, and all-around laughable structure. I sat there baffled, scene by scene. Someone approved this. The memes will redeem it. Fuck, man. I don't know if I'm going to pay to see that shit, guys. My review may be coming when this shit comes out on Blu-ray. Well, hold on. We might have some positives coming up. So maybe a light out of this dark tunnel. Still yet. James Preston Poole. Madam Web is totally fine. There's really not a lot to say here. The leads are charming. Dakota Johnson is a witchy weirdo. The slasher / vinyl destination meets superhero vibes are there. Okay, fuck. I like that description. That fucking third sentence in this guy's review sold me right there. That's fucking cool. The slasher / final destination vibes. Final destination meets superhero vibes. Fuck, that sounds right up my alley. But there's just not a whole lot to it. Not a disaster, just kind of there. So still not like the most positive review, but definitely not negative. Then the Hollywood Handle seems like more in line with the previous two reviews. Madam Web is a clunky, poorly written, messy, and sloppy movie packed with some mediocre editing and performances. Even though it had solid cinematography and an interesting concept, it couldn't be saved due to its terrible execution. So seems like it's not all bad, I guess, at least for these last couple of ones. I was not, unfortunately, successfully entertained. Madam Web is a series of misses and wasted opportunities, and not just for obvious reasons, from Darth Rowe. Brandon Schultz, I watched Madam Web and it was bad. I tried to give it a chance, but sadly the poor execution didn't help it. The cast was awesome, but the performances were definitely disappointing. And then lastly, from Britt here, shout out to the Hollywood Reporter for sharing some of these reactions. Unfortunately for me, Madam Web lacked the spark it needed in nearly every department: writing, acting, action sequences. There are a few good moments with an excellent overall pacing, but geez, this was hard to get through. So sounds a lot like this movie has some interesting concepts as far as what they were trying to do plot-wise, talking about, the fucking slasher meets superhero vibes or Final Destination or whatever was mentioned in one tweet, and someone else saying, interesting, ideas. So I think that that's probably the coolest part of the movie, but it sounds like they really, phoned it in terms of editing and acting. Some of the actors as well may have, it sounds like, by some of the tweets. I don't know. Hopefully I'll be able to review it in the near future and give my opinion. But honestly, some of those first reviews had me like, I don't know if I'm ever going to want to watch this. But then once like I said, that one sentence really sold me. I'll definitely check this out. It might be one where, you wait till it hits streaming, wait till it hits Blu-ray. But there's the first reactions out from Madam Web. If you do get a chance to check it out, or if you have checked it out already by the time you're hearing this podcast, let me know your thoughts in the comments on Madam Web. Maybe that'll sway me one way or another of when I see it, because I'm sure it's not a matter of if I see it, just a matter of when. And then sticking with the Hollywood Reporter for our next piece of news here, and the upcoming Karate Kid movie from Sony. We were all kind of wondering what it would be because we hadn't really got a ton of news about it yet, save from the fact that we knew that Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio were the two that were involved with the project. So somehow seemed like a Karate Kid universe type deal, multiverse type deal, because we know Jackie Chan was in the reboot with Jaden Smith, and of course Ralph Macchio from the original. I don't remember, enough shit about the Jackie Chan Jaden Smith version to remember if Ralph Macchio even showed up in that movie to show that they took place in the same universe. But either way, it's going to now, and they have the new Karate Kid cast Ben Wayne, best known as star of the Disney Plus series, American Born Chinese, to star in the latest installment of the coming of age martial arts franchise. So the new Karate Kid will be Ben Wayne. The casting comes after a global search that saw thousands of submissions from around the world, with 10,000 entries reported in the first 24 hours alone. According to studio insiders, Wayne delivered a standout audition that demonstrated his deep connection to the character. So, fan of Karate Kid, probably. It also helped that he is fluent in Mandarin and highly skilled across many forms of martial arts, including karate, Wing Chun, Kung Fu, Gumdo, Kempo, and Taekwondo. Hopefully I didn't butcher the pronunciation too fucking much on those, but that's awesome that he knows how to do the fighting himself as well. Some of those skills were already showcased on American Born Chinese. I've never had a chance to watch that, but sounds like it would be pretty cool. So new Karate Kid will have Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio reprising their iconic characters, if I could fucking talk right, from previous Karate Kid films. Plot details are being kept under a bonsai tree, but the new installment will bring the story to the East Coast and focus on a teen from China who finds strength and direction via martial arts and a tough but wise mentor, or maybe even two. I'm guessing that they're both going to be like the Mr. Miyagi in some way. I don't fucking know. But Sony slated the film for December 13th, 2024. So we're getting this year, guys, apparently. I didn't put it on my most anticipated list because I just don't know how they're going to get it out that quick. If they just now are going through casting, they're going to film it and have it released and go through post-production in 10 months. Find that hard to believe. I feel like this will be pushed back to 2025, but we'll see. That's some Karate Kid news, though. And then how about some Christian Bale news for the Dark Knight trilogy fans? I know I got some friends that think he's the best Batman ever. I am not a fan of his Batman. I do like the movies, but nonetheless, that's a different fucking rabbit hole I won't go down one day. Maybe I'll get JR on the channel one day and we'll do a little best Batman debate video or something. That'd be fucking fun. We'll do that one day maybe. But Christian Bale to shave his head to play Frankenstein in Maggie Gyllenhaal's Warner Brothers film. So him and Maggie Gyllenhaal reuniting as well. Dark Knight trilogy fans. But I think she's directing. I don't know if she's acting in the movie as well. But I'm guessing this means he's playing Dr. Frankenstein and not Frankenstein's monster. But I'm also not 100% sure. Let's see if this Hollywood Reporter article confirms that. Christian Bale will soon be headed back to work with a lot less hair. I got to shave my head for a movie next week, he said, referring to an untitled Maggie Gyllenhaal film he's about to do for Warner Brothers, in which he will play Frankenstein. News of the project surfaced last August via Production Weekly, and a more recent headline and deadline revealed that Gyllenhaal had gathered an all-star cast for her second effort in the director's chair. Bale is set to star opposite Jesse Bucklet, Annette Bening, Penelope Cruz, and Peter Sarsgaard. Noted the film originally was set up at Netflix before moving to Warner Brothers, and is said to focus on Frankenstein's pursuit of love. The logline follows a lonely Frankenstein who travels to 1930s Chicago to seek the aid of a Dr. Euphonius in creating a companion for himself. The two reinvigorate a murdered young woman, and the bride is born. Also, maybe he is playing Frankenstein's monster, searching for a lover, and it's kind of a different spin on Bride of Frankenstein, maybe, from what I'm getting from there. Either way, I think Christian Bale, in that type of movie could be interesting. Wonder how it's going to be played, though. Is it, horror, or are they going for more comedic, angle, satirical? I don't know. Because, Christian Bale, man, I love getting him in obviously American Psycho, but even for all the problems I had with the Thor movie, his part was rather creepy, and if they could have played the whole movie with that tone of his, scenes, that would have been a completely different movie, and it would have been, because I think if you rewatch the movie, his scenes stand out as actually being good for the most part. It just doesn't fit because the rest of the movie around him's so corny. But we will get to see him as Frankenstein or Dr. Frankenstein or Frankenstein's Monster One. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, Maggie Gyllenhaal's got a Frankenstein movie coming that seems like a kind of spin on Bride of Frankenstein, and that's pretty fucking cool. And then next up, Denzel Washington and Spike Lee teaming up yet again for another film. That's fucking great news. Apple and A24 producing an adaptation of Akira Kurosaka's High and Low. Denzel Washington and Spike Lee are reuniting for a thriller that has landed at Apple Original Films. Don't know if that means it's going to be on streaming. I'm guessing with these big names, it will go to theaters, much like Killers of the Flower Moon. You know, it was an Apple release, but went to theaters. Apple's been doing that now. The feature is a partnership between Apple and A24. That's pretty cool. With the latter to release the High and Low theatrically. Bang, bang, answered my own question. Before a global launch on Apple TV Plus, written by Alan Fox and Spike Lee, the project is an English language representation, or reinterpretation, excuse me, of Kurosaka's crime thriller, the 1963 Japanese movie, told of a shoe executive that was in the middle of a complex corporate takeover when his plans are derailed by the accidental kidnapping and ransom of his chauffeur's son instead of his own. Oh, that's pretty fucking cool. Set to begin production in March with Spike Lee in the director's chair and Denzel Washington in the lead, of course. Fifth collaboration, most recent was Inside Man back in 2006. So it's crazy. It's been that long, nearly 20 years since the two have collaborated. Their other movies, Mo Better Blues, Malcolm X, and He Got Game. Inside Man's great. Malcolm X is great. He Got Game might be my favorite, though, just because, you know, I grew up playing basketball. So it was one I liked. And also, you know, Ray Allen, Jesus Shuttlesworth. You got to love that character, too. And, you know, Ray Allen and Denzel, hell of a pair in that movie. And it was also kind of Denzel playing, you know, not exactly the good guy, you know, for once. That's why, you know, we love Training Day and shit like that. But I think this will be awesome. Him and Spike Lee teaming up for the first time in, you know what, it'll be 18 years, probably by the time this releases. Beginning production in March, so probably come out next year. Yeah, it'll probably be 19 years or so since their last movie together. So that's pretty cool. Nice. And wanted to share that, and I appreciate that from the Hollywood Reporter yet again on that shit. And one more Hollywood Reporter article here, and then just a couple more news pieces, and I'll talk about some shit that I've watched lately, and we'll get ready to wrap up here, episode 4 of the Pop Culture Pod. All right, and switching to a little bit of TV news, I guess, or I guess more streaming news, because there's Disney Plus, and I think it was on Hulu. You know, they got that combo shit going on. I don't really know how that works. What's a Hulu show? What's a Disney show? I mean, Disney owns Hulu, so it doesn't really fucking matter. Are they just going to combine into a joint streaming service sooner or later? I would say so, which is good. I'm all for more of these things combining and having to have less payments. But Goosebumps, I don't know if you guys checked it out. Actually was really cool, you know, retelling, reimagination of the original shit. You know, if you grew up when I grew up, you probably watched the original one. And this Goosebumps series, this first season was cool because not only did they redo some of the old like classic episodes, you know, The Mask and all those other ones that you remember, but they redid them in a way that they still told a story that connected across an entire season, but those episodes tied in as well, you know, to it. So it was pretty fucking cool the way they did it. I was hoping they were to continue it, kind of left it open to be continued. And so this news right here, fucking kind of bittersweet, because Goosebumps is coming back. It's renewed for season 2, but it's now an anthology. It's going to be a new cast. I thought Justin Long was fucking awesome. Some of the other characters, you know, the cast of characters was cool too. So I was hoping to see it continue. But hopefully this still, you know, turns out good and the next season's awesome. And it does leave open good possibilities. You know, we got a good first season. Maybe we'll get a good second season. And the anthology route will continue to be good. You know, I think it's the type of thing that you could watch, you know, with your kids. But also, it's not too kiddie. It's way more adult than the original Goosebumps series was for sure. Let's see what we got here, though. Also coming from the Hollywood Reporter here. Goosebumps getting the anthology treatment. Disney has renewed the series based on R.L. Stine's beloved book for a second season. With a twist, it'll be turned into an anthology. The sophomore season will feature an entirely new story, cast, and setting. The show's creative team, including showrunner Hillary Winston, who came from Community, will return. Disney Plus says season 2 will revolve around teenage siblings who discover a threat within their home, setting off a chain of events that unravel a profound mystery. As they delve into the unknown, the duo finds themselves entangled in the story of 5 teenagers who mysteriously vanished in 1994. Huh. that's pretty cool. So going back to the 90s again, I'm down for that. We'll see who comes back in this cast. Maybe they'll have some people come back. I don't know. They might want to completely redo it, but I think American Horror Story and other shows have other shows have shown. Yeah, that's right. Fuck, I don't know. It sounded weird when I said it, but that you can bring back the same cast of characters to play the same cast of actors to play different characters. So hopefully maybe they'll do something like that. But yeah, season 2 of Goosebumps coming, but different, an anthology on Disney Plus. And then the last little piece of news I wanted to talk about, and then I want to talk about upcoming Blu-ray releases. Going to try and start featuring that in here into the podcast as well. Just the most recent upcoming. I think in this one I'll go up to like February 20th. We'll talk about. I'll point out a few there. I'll share them on the screen. If you're watching the YouTube side, you can see the full list, but I'll just point out some that I think could be interesting to check out. But last piece of news here, and it's Adam Sandler related. Pretty cool here coming from Variety. Just came out yesterday. Adam Sandler setting a new Netflix comedy special to be directed by Josh Safdie. The project continues Sandler's string of collaborations with Safdie, who co-directed him in Uncut Gems. Of course, those was the Safdie brothers. They did awesome work there for A24. Uncut Gems, if you haven't watched it yet, some of Sandler's best work, non-comedy related, and I fucking love that movie. It's an anxiety, driven movie. It's going to have your fucking anxiety rolling, but in a good way. It's one of those movies that's edge of your seat type thriller shit. Sandler also starred in the Brothers 2020 short film Goldman vs. Silver and is set to lead an upcoming feature set in the world of sports memorabilia to be directed by Josh and produced by Benny. Through the latter told Variety in January that the film was on pause. So seems like that may not still be in the works, or at least on hiatus. Currently untitled, the Netflix special will be Sandler's second at Netflix following his 2018 set 100% Fresh, which went on to receive a 90% Fresh score on Rotten Tomatoes. And that's what got me excited and wanting to share this news, was because that last one that he did in 2018, that comedy special, it was really awesome. Not only was it hilarious, but it had some heartfelt stuff. That tribute song that he did to Chris Farley, I can still watch that and tear up, almost get choked up just talking about it because I'm such a big Chris Farley fan. But hopefully this comedy special is just as good. It goes on to talk about all his projects with Netflix. They have a great relationship that they started, since way back when was that? Looks like 2015 was the first movie that came out, Ridiculous Six, and a ton since then, with mixed results, some good, some not. But hopefully this comedy special is really great. And his last one in 2018, I really enjoyed. So I was excited when I seen he's got another one coming out on Netflix. So be on the lookout for an Adam Sandler, stand-up style comedy special coming on Netflix, in the not so distant future. And then lastly, let's talk upcoming Blu-ray releases before I talk about some shit that I've watched recently to wrap up the pod here. Coming, you got 4K releases on February 20th of the Beverly Hills Cop trilogy. Get the 3-movie collection. Of course, you can buy them all individually. That's cool. Might have to hop on that. I don't know if I've got them on 4K. I don't know if I got them on Blu-ray. But Darkman also coming out on 4K. That's cool. Liam Neeson and Sam Raimi. Full disclosure, I've never seen it. I need to watch that. Maybe try and watch that and do a commentary on the channel in the future or something. So, that's something I'm doing, trying to start doing more of his commentaries and shit like that. And we'll see what happens if I'm successful. Hopefully so. Hopefully so. Anything else? Let's see here. If you're watching on the YouTube side, like I said, you can see the list. I'm just kind of pointing out some that stick out to me. Don't see anything there on the second page. These still coming out February 20th. Like I said, I'll go through all the ones coming out February 20th. And looks like we got one coming out February 22nd there as well. Let's see. Oh, VHS triple feature comes out on Blu-ray. That is VHS 94, VHS 99, and VHS 85. Full disclosure, I'm not caught up on the VHS series either. I think I saw the original and maybe the sequel, but I haven't really been watching them. I need to catch up on them on Shudder. I've got Shudder. I just always forget to hop on there, to be quite honest with you, unless there's something big that I want to watch there in the VHS series I never really got too much into. Children of the Corn 4K release on February 20th as well. Brawl and Cell Block 99. That looks like, yeah, that's Steelbook, I do believe. February 20th, 4K Steelbook. Yeah, So that's what we got coming out on Blu-ray February 20th. I want to start kind of doing updates on what's coming out, within the next week when I do these podcast episodes also here. So then to conclude, the way that we always do, let's talk about some things that I've watched recently. All right. Haven't watched a ton this week, but did watch like three things lately. A couple of them Valentine's related, which if you're watching this on Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's Day. If you're watching it, post Valentine's Day, hope you had a good one. But if it is post Valentine's Day, then that means the commentary for one of these projects is already up on the channel here on JC's Pop Culture. I wanted to do something, I like holiday horrors, my shit, especially. You guys know slashers, my favorite. And so Valentine's coming up. I was like, let's do something holiday related. Wanted to do something different. And so I did a movie that I'd never seen because I don't think I'd ever done a commentary for a movie that I hadn't seen. So Lover's Lane. Let's talk a little bit about that. Before dive in on it a little bit, I wanted to just say, appreciate everyone that's been tuning into the podcast episodes here. 4 episodes deep now. If you made it this far in this one and you're watching on the YouTube side, hitting that thumbs up button, that really helps a shit ton, guys. And, if you're a fan of movies, horror, comedy, superheroes, TV shows, EA Sports, college football, video game, any of those things, be sure to subscribe here to JC's Pop Culture if this is your first time finding the channel here. But also, if you're watching on YouTube and you do enjoy listening to podcasts on the audio side, I did say I'd provide an update earlier in the show on this. So I wanted to do that. We're up everywhere now, pretty much. Talked about last time we were up on Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, all that. Finally got it up on Apple Podcasts. So if you're on Apple, just go to your little purple podcast app, search JC's Pop Culture, subscribe to us there. You can get these podcast episodes directly in your feed, and then hopefully you're subscribed on YouTube and on your podcast side. So you're getting all the videos, and then you're getting this shit right here as well. But yeah, you just wanted to update there. We're up on Apple now, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. Just search JC's Pop Culture. You can find the show there now. And going to be putting these out weekly, talking movie news, upcoming Blu-ray releases, and then, of course, just kind of reviewing some shit that I've watched lately and talking about Lover's Lane. And if you want to know my extended thoughts on it, I'd encourage you, go watch the commentary here on the channel. And that's not just a plug. It's so you go watch my video on the channel, I think, because it's something that I'd never even fucking heard of. And if you're into holiday-themed slashers, I think you'll fucking enjoy it, especially if you're into old school 80s cheesy slashers that were coming out, hot and heavy. And some of them were just super corny and you could just turn your brain off and laugh at them and have a good time. That's what Lover's Lane is, man. It's not a good movie. I'm not going to tell you that it is by any means, but it's one of those so bad it's good movies. While I was watching the shit, I felt like I was watching a pilot for a ABC family show or a fucking CW show or something. And it came out in 2000, but it's so fucking weird. I don't know if it's the way it's shot or if they're purposefully doing it, because there was a lot of nods to old school slashers in it. In the commentary, I'm going off the checklist: Halloween, Friday the 13th, Candyman, I Know She Did Last Summer, Scream. They put nods into them all. So maybe that's fucking why it feels like this. But man, when I was watching it felt like this movie was made in the fucking 70s or 80s. The way it looks, the way it feels, the sounds, like it's just so fucking, the effects, everything. It's like this was made in the late 90s. This does not feel that way. So it's fucking a mind fuck of a movie. I did have some interesting shit going on in it. There were some decent points, like they used some POV stuff, pretty cool. If you're, a fan of a gore hound and you love, the kills and stuff, you're not going to get a ton of that. A lot of cutaways. They don't really even show the aftermath in some of the shit. So the gore's not really there in this movie. The effects aren't the best. The acting's pretty bad across the board. But like I said, it's one of those so bad that it's good movies. The dialogue's, makes you laugh at times. It's so bad. But there are a couple, fun scenes. They do a good job of building the tension at times. When it's a stalking scene or something like that, I will give them credit on that end. And, the formula now. So some of it you see coming, obviously. But just watch it for the fun of it. And if you watch it for anything, watch it for the third act alone. Because if you watch it with the commentary, which you can find the movie, it's up free on YouTube. I think it's on Prime as well. But I just watched it up on YouTube. They got it on YouTube in HD. I think it's up without ads, actually. But fucking, it's pretty straightforward. And then you get to the last, 20, 30 minutes of the movie. And in the commentary, I'm literally like, what the fuck is going on? Who is that? Wait, what does that mean? So that's not who I thought it was. Who's that guy? Why does he have makeup on and why is he wearing the same outfit as the killer? I don't know. They were going for like I guess some twisty shit in the third act, but I don't know if it was the way they edited it, the way they shot it, or both. Probably a little bit of fucking both. But the third act was a complete mind fuck to where I'm like, this is awesome. To quote Tommy Boy after they hit the deer is the best way to put it. So I think I ended up giving it a 5 out of 10, although it's probably like at best, a 2, 3 out of 10 type movie. But it's just like I said, one of those so bad it's good type feels, and you have a good time watching it. And I really enjoyed it as a first time watch. And maybe I'll watch it again one day. So I gave it a 5 out of 10. So that's Lover's Lane from 2000. It does have Anna Faris in it, and it's funny because she's kind of almost playing it the same way she plays this character in Scary Movie, and it actually came out the same year as Scary Movie. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, Lover's Lane, check it out, and if you do check it out, watch it with the commentary here on JC's Pop Culture. And then I watched Anyone But You. My wife had been wanting to watch this. Almost wanted to do a review for it on the channel, but I figured, fuck it, we'll throw it in on JC's Pop Culture Pod there at the end and talk about it with you guys. But Sydney Sweeney, I know she's very popular right now from Euphoria, but I've never had a chance to watch Euphoria still. I did watch White Lotus, so that was kind of the first thing I ever saw her in. She's in Madam Web as well, which we talked about earlier. She's all in everything, much like I talked about with Isabella earlier in the podcast, but her and Glenn Powell, who Glenn Powell we talked about with Twisters, talk about people popping up everywhere. And I wouldn't mind seeing Glenn Powell cast as Hal Jordan by James Gunn. If you listen to this, James Gunn, I'm sure you're fucking not, because like I said, only about 12 people do. But I don't think he'd be a bad Hal Jordan, wouldn't be a bad addition to the DCU, and he's a popular name right now. But having said that, Anyone But You, rom-com. So, typical format through some of it. Early on in the movie, some of the gags they were going for, I was like, that's fucking a little rote. It's a long stretch for me to get there, to go with some of it just to get, the comedic gags, physical comedy that they go with between these two. But basically, the two like each other, hate each other, hence the title Anyone But You. And, rom-com ensue. Movie starts with a meet cute, but it's almost playing it ironically, making fun of it. And the one thing I do like about this movie is you get the hard R rating, you get some that raunchy comedy, and the fact that it does have the amount of comedy that it has in it, it almost outweighs the romantic side, I think, on some of it. So I was pleasantly surprised by that, and I enjoyed this movie more than I thought I would. So I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, do it. If you're into rom-coms and stuff, it's not going to be ranking high ever on my rom-com list, but I had a good time at it and it gave me some laughs. So that's always fun. I think Sydney Sweeney's a good actor, as is Glenn Powell. Dermot Mulroney's in here as well. He's always fun to watch. So it has some good things going for it. Anyone But You, check it out if you haven't had a chance to do so. And then lastly, I've had the 4K Terminator, T2 for a while now, and I'm like, I wanted to break them out. I'm usually a completionist. I wanted to have to watch the shit in order, but I was like, fuck it. I just want to watch T2. I want to see what it looks like on 4K. I know the effects probably hold up because, I've watched it before. It's just so crazy, man. This movie came out in 91, and it's mainly practical because, if you've watched some of the special features, you can go see a lot of the explosions and stuff. They used models for the things that were getting blown up in miniatures and shit. But the little bit of CGI that they do use, it still holds up, I think, especially compared to some of the shit that we're getting today lately. It looked good. But the only complaint that you can have, which there's not really many complaints to talk about with T2. Obviously this movie's over 30 years old. You guys know a lot of it. It's fucking one of the greatest movies ever. I've never heard anyone complain about T2, I don't think. But the only thing that you can say about as a complaint is the same thing that I usually say when I'm talking about scans of older movies when they're coming out in 4K now and you're watching them on a 4K TV. They weren't really ever intended to be watched in, such high definition. So sometimes there'll be little things that you wouldn't notice. You've never noticed before when you've watched the movie on VHS, DVD, or maybe even Blu-ray. And so some of that shit popped out to me in this one. So if you haven't watched T2 on 4K, watch it just to see if you catch some of those. Cause there's the one scene where, Arnold, the T-800s on the motorcycle with John Connor, and the T-1000s in a fucking semi 18-wheeler style type truck and shit, and he's riding alongside, and you can see just the intercuts of it goes from Arnold Schwarzenegger to the stunt double, and you can see it happen like twice, and that stuck out. And there was like one more thing, I can't fucking remember what it was, but just where the movie's in 4K now, you can actually see that shit that you never had seen or were intended to see because it's in such HD quality now. But man, other than that, that movie's just fucking flawless. The plot's perfect, the writing's perfect. It's just so well done. And I'm not a fan of Avatar, so I'm just pissed off that James Cameron just spent the end of his career dealing with blue people personally. But that's just me. I know I'm certainly in the minority there, and James Cameron's earned the right to do anything he wants to do. He's a fucking legend, living legend for sure. But great performances from Arnold. Edward Furlong absolutely killed it, man. In this movie, a lot of the emotional scenes, especially that ending, still gets me every single time. It's like you kind of see it coming now. Obviously, you've watched the movie a million times, but even seeing it coming when he's like, "You have to lower me into it," I can't self terminate, and Edward Furlong's screaming, "No, no!" You start to tear up then, especially when they've set it up earlier, and he asks, "Why do you cry?" And he's like, "I now know why you cry." That line gets me every time. And then if that doesn't get me, it's when he's going down into the molten lava shit, whatever it's called, and you get the thumbs up. That gets me fucking every time too. So, T2, it's a fucking perfect movie. It's not a 10, it's a 12 out of 10, 11 out of 10 off the scale. One of the best movies ever made. If I'm making a top 10 films of all time, it's certainly up there. It's probably in my top 5. I think it's one of the best movies ever made. Especially, you watch it 30 plus years later and the effects still hold up. James Cameron was a genius. Some of the stuff he did in the movie, and it's a perfect script. It's a perfect film. Everything about it great. So watch the 4K of T2. Anyone But You, and Lover's Lane. And Lover's Lane, you can literally watch me watch here on the channel. Check out the full commentary for that. That's probably up now by the time you're hearing this podcast, because I got that up for Valentine's Day special thing there, and going to try and continue to do more commentaries on the channel in the future. And this podcast will keep coming weekly for you guys, talking movie news, Blu-ray releases, and shit that I've watched recently, and reviewing it a little bit. So had a lot of fucking fun yet again doing it and talking with you guys here on episode 4, and be back to do it in about a week's time. Like I said, if you made it this far, hit the thumbs up button. It helps a ton. And, drop your thoughts in the comments on any of the movie news we discussed, or any of the movies that I watched. Have you watched them as well? What are your thoughts, or anything that you've watched? Maybe drop it in the comments there. And if I haven't seen it, it could be a potential suggestion, and maybe I'll watch it in the weeks leading up to a future episode, and then talk about it on there and give you a shout out. So appreciate those interactions. That should help with the YouTube algorithm as well, trying to grow this JC's Pop Culture channel, which you can help me grow if you're a fan of movies or TV shows, especially comedy, horror, superheroes. Be sure to subscribe here, where I'm talking that all the time. Movie reviews, commentaries, and of course, podcast episodes like this one, where we talk movie news and update Blu-ray releases and shit like that, if I could talk. But recording this later at night, guys, so give me a fucking break, okay? Like I said, flog me in the street if you want. But really appreciate you guys. This channel's growing quicker than I expected it to. And that's all thanks to you guys here that are tuning in these podcast episodes and the videos here on the YouTube side. Like I said, if you do watch on the YouTube side, we're up on the audio side. Hop over there, and vice versa. If you're on the audio side, listen to this, hop over to the YouTube, where you can get more updates on movies, more updates on EA Sports College Football, the DCU, Superman Legacy, all kinds of great shit from me, JC. But I'll stop rambling on now. See you guys in about a week's time for episode 5 here of the Pop Culture Podcast. Appreciate y'all tuning into this one. Hope you have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever the hell you're listening to this one. Until next time, later, film fans.